Welcome back to the range. Today we are having a serious conversation about ballistics, legacy, and the raw physics of putting meat in the freezer. In the modern world of firearms marketing, it is easy to get blinded by the newest shiny object on the shelf. We see endless hype cycles, flashy Instagram posts, and new cartridge launches that promise to reinvent the wheel every 6 months. But if you strip away the marketing budget and look at the cold, hard data, you start to see a different picture. We are going to bridge the gap between two very different worlds today. On one side, we have the cutting-edge, long-range dominators, cartridges designed by engineers to cheat the wind and drop animals at distances our grandfathers would have called unethical. On the other side, we have the heavyweights, the Timber Kings, and the forgotten giants that delivered massive kinetic energy long before laser rangefinders were even a concept. We have curated a list of 7 specific cartridges. Some are modern masterpieces that make the 6.5 Creedmoor look like a child's toy. Others are vanishing legends, big-bore thumpers that are slowly disappearing from the shelves despite being some of the most effective killers ever designed. Whether you are a precision shooter looking to ring steel at 1,000 yards or a timber hunter tracking elk in the thick stuff, this list is the truth they do not want you to see. Let us open the bolt and get to work. We are kicking this off with a cartridge that has effectively claimed the throne as the new king of the long-range mountain. This is the 7mm PRC. When Hornady went back to the drawing board for this round, they had a singular obsessive mission in mind: absolute domination at extended ranges. And make no mistake, what they achieved is nothing short of a masterpiece of modern ballistic engineering. If you are a hunter who spends your days glassing enormous open country, or a precision shooter who demands the ability to consistently ring steel past the demanding 1,000-yard mark, this is your tool. The genius of the 7mm PRC lies in how it manages heavy for caliber projectiles. These bullets are sleek, aerodynamic needles with screaming high ballistic coefficients. What that means for you in the real world is simple. This bullet retains its velocity and its terminal energy way down range, long after other rounds have run out of steam. The trajectory on this thing is laser flat. When you touch off a round, that high muzzle velocity dramatically reduces the bullet drop. You are spending less time frantically spinning the turrets on your scope and doing math in your head. Instead, you have absolute confidence in your holdovers, even when the target is sitting at extreme distances. It is about minimizing variables. The less the bullet drops, the less margin for error you have to account for. But the real magic happens when you pull the trigger. You might expect a cartridge with this kind of performance to punish you, but the recoil is surprisingly manageable. It is authoritative, yes, but it is not a violent, teeth-rattling jab that makes you flinch before the shot. It is a firm, predictable push into the shoulder pocket. That recoil impulse allows you to stay focused, and the inherent accuracy of this round is truly exceptional. It arrives on target with massive energy, capable of ethically and decisively taking down big, elk-sized game without hesitation. If you want a round that absolutely owns the wind and the distance, the 7mm PRC is the new standard. Moving to our second spot, we are shifting gears from high-tech aerodynamics to a beast of a completely different color. This is the .35 Whelen. If the previous round was a scalpel, this is a sledgehammer. Introduced back in 1922, but strangely not standardized until 1988, this cartridge is what I call a ballistic freight train. It does not rely on fancy plastic tips or drag-reducing boat tails. It relies on mass and momentum. There is a common misconception about the name that we need to clear up. Most people think Colonel Townsend Whelen designed it himself. Actually, it was James V. Howe, a brilliant gunsmith, who built it and named it after the colonel out of respect. The concept is pure, unadulterated American ingenuity. They took a standard .30-06 Springfield case and simply expanded the neck to accept a massive .358 diameter bullet. Done! But do not mistake simple for weak. This is arguably the most powerful non-magnum cartridge you can buy over the counter today. When you load this thing up with modern ammunition like Hornady Superformance, you are taking a 200-grain projectile and pushing it to generate a massive 3,760 foot-pounds of energy. That is enough kinetic energy to drop anything walking on the North American continent, including a Kodiak brown bear, in its tracks. In the hands of a capable marksman, the Whelen is an absolute hammer. It has maintained a cult following that borders on religious because it works. However, outside of that inner circle, the general public never really caught on. Thanks to some specific state laws allowing single-shot rifles for primitive seasons, it is currently on life support. But let us be real. Give it another generation, and the Whelen will likely be a conversation piece rather than a field rifle. It is a tragedy because this round offers a level of lethality that few modern cartridges can match inside 300 yards. Next up, we return to the modern era with a cartridge that many seasoned shooters affectionately refer to as the Creedmoor on steroids. This is the 6.5 PRC. Also a brilliant creation from the minds at Hornady, this powerhouse round was purpose-built to address the one complaint people had about the standard 6.5mm rounds: speed. They designed this case to take those incredible high-coefficient bullets and push them significantly faster and flatter than its more famous but slower sibling. This round is completely purpose-built for the hunter and the long-range competitor who already loves the performance of the 6.5 bullet but desperately needs more horsepower for bigger game or seriously tough conditions. When you step up to the PRC, that significant increase in velocity translates directly to a remarkably flat trajectory. You see a noticeable reduction in wind drift when you compare it side by side to standard short-action rounds. That added authority downrange makes a massive difference when you are trying to make a clean, ethical shot at truly extended distances. Now, physics is physics. The recoil is predictably a bit sharper than the standard Creedmoor. It has a snap to it, but honestly, it is still very manageable, especially when you run it in a quality, well-built rifle platform with a decent muzzle brake. On target, it delivers exceptional, consistent groups. Out in the field, it offers more than enough stopping power for big white-tailed deer, heavy elk, and most other large game animals. If you are looking for a rock-solid, high-performance cartridge that perfectly bridges the gap between the soft-shooting target rounds and those hard-hitting magnums that leave you bruised, the 6.5 PRC is a brilliant, rock-solid choice. At number 4, we have a round with a short but fascinating life, a cartridge that served as the grandfather of the modern short magnum craze long before it was cool. This is the .350 Remington Magnum. Launched in 1965, this cartridge had some serious backing, including the approval of the legendary Jeff Cooper. The idea behind it was brilliant. Create a guide gun you could carry up a mountain all day without fatigue, but that still had the horsepower to stop a moose or a bear in a defensive situation. It made its debut in Alaska, paired with the ultra-light Remington Model 600. But here is where the downside of physics comes into play. Touching off a round with that much pressure in a featherweight rifle produces recoil that is snappy to say the least. It is violent. However, it was manageable for experienced shooters. Jeff Cooper even used a custom scout rifle in this caliber to take a lion, which really added to the mystique and the lore of the round. Commercially, though, it flamed out fast. 10 years after launch, it was already disappearing from catalogs. Remington tried a reboot in 2002 with the Model 673 guide gun, but the market just shrugged. It is a crying shame because the ballistics are solid. Pushing a 225-grain bullet at 2,550 feet per second delivers 3,248 foot-pounds of energy. That will anchor any game animal you cross paths with. The problem today is logistics. If you own a .350 Remington Magnum, you better be a handloader. Finding a box of factory ammo for this thing is like finding a unicorn at the range. It serves as a warning that even a ballistic success can be a commercial failure if the timing is not right. Now let us look at the genuinely underrated king of raw velocity. This is the 25-06 Remington. This cartridge may not get all the massive online hype that the 6.5 crowd generates, but in terms of sheer real-world performance, it is an absolute monster. The engineers brilliantly created this by taking the legendary 30-06 Springfield case and necking it down to accept a quarter-inch projectile. The result is a cartridge that delivers blistering speed. We are talking about factory loads that easily push past 3,200 feet per second. That kind of speed creates a trajectory that is almost point and shoot, easy out to 300 yards. It shoots incredibly flat, minimizing the need for holdover or complex elevation adjustments when you are in the heat of the moment. For the hunter targeting medium-sized game like deer and pronghorn antelope, especially in the wide-open spaces of the West, this is a top-tier choice. It delivers more than enough energy for clean, ethical kills at extended ranges. And here's the best part. At the range, it is a very pleasant round to shoot. It has a surprisingly mild recoil that is much more comfortable than the much larger .30 caliber magnums. You get the reach of a Magnum without the punishment. For the hunter who is looking for a high-velocity, hard-hitting cartridge that does not totally punish the shoulder, the 25-06 is a true hidden gem that deserves way more respect than it gets. Number 6 is a personal favorite for many timber hunters who understand the value of a heavy bullet in thick brush. This is the .358 Winchester. Released in 1955, this round found a home in some truly classic platforms, like the Winchester Model 88 lever action and the Model 100 semi-auto. You even saw it in the Browning BLR and the Ruger 77. The recipe was familiar and effective. Take the .3008 Winchester brass, neck it up to .358, and you get a short-action cartridge that hits like a truck. It was marketed as the modern evolution of the old .348 Winchester. It hit harder than the .35 Remington, but still fit in a handy, short-throw action that you could manipulate quickly in deep cover. Its golden era was definitely when Winchester was pumping out the Model 88. Those rifles are collector's items now. Performance-wise, it is no slouch. It launches a 250-grain bullet at 2,200 feet per second. That equals 2,686 foot-pounds of energy. Those are respectable numbers for a woods rifle. So what killed it? Competition. The .338 Federal came along and did essentially the same job, but with better marketing and a better selection of bullets. The .338 took the market share and never gave it back. You can still find .358 Winchester ammo if you dig deep enough, but it is scarce. If you run this caliber, stock up on brass, and honestly, learning to cast your own lead projectiles might be the only way to keep this classic running for the long haul. Finally, we absolutely have to pay some well-deserved respect to a truly timeless classic that has been getting the job done for nearly a century. The .270 Winchester. This incredible cartridge was the undisputed darling of the legendary gunwriter Jack O'Connor, and for all the right reasons. In many ways, the .270 Winchester was the 6.5 Creedmoor of its time, offering a high-velocity, flat-shooting hunting option that was always a joy to shoot. Its greatest strength, in my mind, is its inherent versatility. Whether you find yourself hunting in thick timber or you are glassing across a wide-open western canyon, the .270 handles both scenarios with tremendous ease. It is wickedly fast, incredibly flat-shooting, and absolutely lethal on everything from white-tailed deer all the way up to sheep and big-bodied elk. It delivers plenty of raw kinetic energy to put animals down cleanly, but it does it with a level of recoil that almost any shooter can handle comfortably for an all-day trip to the range. This round is a true pleasure to shoot. It is inherently accurate and not particularly finicky about which factory or hand loads it likes. If you deeply value tradition and you want a century of absolute field-proven results behind your projectile, the .270 Winchester is still more than capable of outperforming a lot of today's cutting-edge cartridges. It proves that sometimes the old ways are still the best ways. So, there is the rundown. We have covered the spectrum from the high-tech, long-range wizards like the 7mm PRC to the vanishing legends like the .350 Remington Magnum. Some of these cartridges are the future of ballistics, pushing the envelope of what is possible with a shoulder-fired rifle. Others are walking into the sunset, kept alive only by a dedicated few who understand their worth. I want to hear from you guys. Do you have one of these forgotten heavy hitters in your safe? Would you drag one of these legends out for a hunt this season just for the nostalgia, or do you think modern ballistics have officially made them obsolete? And for the long-range shooters, does the 7mm PRC live up to the hype, or are you sticking with your old reliable? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ballistic history and modern engineering, go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you do not miss the next video. Stay safe, shoot straight, and I will see you downrange.